All I want for Christmas is a competent team. A nightly beam and a trade or three. Gee, if I could only have a competent team, then I wouldn't need my therapist. The Sacramento Kings lose in Minnesota 117 to 103, meaning they have picked up their 20th loss of the season, and we're still over a week away from Christmas. You can't talk about the good things from tonight without a but afterwards. The young Kings really struggled in this game, and I've got a crash out for you involving the NBA Cup final. It's all right here for you on Locked On Kings.
You are Locked On Kings, your daily Sacramento Kings podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is that time for another episode of Locked On Kings.
Hello and welcome into Locked On Kings, your podcast hub for Sacramento Kings coverage all season long. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. My name is Matt George. I have the privilege of being your host here. I'm a Sacramento sports anchor and reporter for ABC 10 News. 20 losses before Christmas. Yikes, yikes, yikes. With the Kings lost tonight, they're 6-20 through their first 26 games this season. As you already know, it's amongst the worst starts in franchise history. And unfortunately, while there are some positives from this Sacramento Kings performance, you can't talk about any of them without a but afterwards. And you'll get my point here as we lay these out. Let's start with DeMar DeRozan. DeMar DeRozan, I thought, had a pretty good game. 17 points, 8 of 15 from the field, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal, and a block. By the way, that steal and block came in the first quarter. I thought DeMar DeRozan was extremely engaged in this game on both ends of the floor. I thought the Sacramento Kings, as a team, came out with a really, really strong defensive performance in that first quarter that kind of caught the Minnesota Timberwolves, who were without Anthony Edwards tonight, and then they lost Rudy Gobert midway through this game due to personal reasons. But I thought it caught Minnesota off guard a little bit, how engaged and active the Kings were defensively, how solid their rotations were, how physical they were playing on the defensive end. But after the first quarter, the Sacramento Kings allowed back-to-back 30-point quarters in the second and third quarters, and the Minnesota Timberwolves still, even after only scoring 20 points in the first quarter, score almost 100 points over the final 3 quarters. But DeMar DeRozan specifically, again, 17 points, one of the better offensive options for the Sacramento Kings in this game. But here's the thing about DeMar. What did we talk about specifically when the Sacramento Kings brought DeMar into Sacramento? Oh, he's a closer. He's one of the most clutch players in the league. He's been a clutch player his entire career. Well, in the fourth quarter of this game, which was close for the most part, don't let that final score fool you. The Kings were, the game was within 1 point. The Kings were trailing by 1, midway through the fourth quarter. Keegan Murray hit a big 3 with a few minutes remaining to cut the lead down to 6, and then you blink, and all of a sudden, the Minnesota Timberwolves are up by 14, and this game is essentially over. In the fourth quarter, your closer in DeMar DeRozan had 3 points on 1 of 3 shooting. Of course, it's not all his fault, but that is supposed to be his time. The Kings were without Zach LaVine at this point. Zach got off to a good start offensively in this game. Tweaked his ankle or twisted his ankle while going up and being fouled. He ended up converting the 3-point play, played a little bit more after that, but then was subbed out, went back to the locker room, did not return for the remainder of the game. That happened late in the second quarter. But the Kings, coming into tonight's game, I haven't seen the numbers since tonight's game has been added, but coming into tonight's game, did you know that the Sacramento Kings are tied with the Los Angeles Clippers for the 3rd worst offense in the fourth quarter in the league? Yeah, there's only 2 teams that have worse offense in the fourth quarter than the Sacramento Kings. And again, that's featuring a lineup loaded with veteran talent who has done plenty of winning over the course of their career, and with DeMar DeRozan, who's considered to be one of the best closers in the league, or at least has been over the course of his career. And the Kings in the fourth quarter offensively are awful. And once again, they were awful in the fourth quarter of this game. I have to double check on this. I don't have the box score in front of me, but I believe the Kings only scored 19 points in the fourth quarter. Like that's a big concern. Dennis Schroeder made his return. He was out for 7 games, I believe, with a hip injury, and I talked about that after the Kings lost to the Denver Nuggets, how kind of weird it was and strange it was that he's been day-to-day for so long and missed so many games, and we wondered if it had anything to do with December 15th being the day that he is eligible to be traded, and a lot of the players who signed contracts with new teams over the course of the offseason, they're eligible to be traded on December 15th. Tomorrow is considered to be the unofficial open of trade season in the NBA. We thought maybe it could have something to do with that, but here on December 14th, Dennis Schroeder returns and played well. 17 points, 5 of 11 from the field, 3 of 5 from three-point range. He was clearly missed in that second unit, brought a nice scoring punch off the bench that the Kings have lacked with him out over the last handful of weeks. But because Dennis Schroeder returned, someone had to lose their minutes, and that someone was Keon Ellis, who had a big fat DNP in this game. Didn't touch the floor. Not a single second of playing time for Keon Ellis. The Kings bench as a whole got 50 points from 3 guys. Schroeder, Achua, who had a really good game. Malik Monk, who had a good offensive performance. He's been struggling as of late. So that was good to see. 50 points from those 3 guys with that second unit. But all 3 of those guys had negative plus minuses. Now, again, plus minus not the greatest individual stat in the world, but what does that tell me? Those 3 guys were playing well offensively, providing a nice spark off the bench, and you still lost those minutes when you got 50 points from 3 guys in that second unit. If it feels like to you the Kings are down big every single night, or man, the Kings are dealing with double-digit deficits every single night, it's because they are. While I was watching this game, and at times bored while watching this game, I decided to go back through and sift through all of the box scores from the Sacramento Kings this season through their first 26 games. Over the last 22 games, they have fallen behind by double digits, so 10 or more points, 21 of the last 22 games. Tonight, their largest deficit was 16, although that was towards the tail end of the game when it got out of hand. Really, the largest deficit for the Kings for the majority of this game was like 11, 12 points. So this game was closer than a lot of the others have been. And I also want to make sure I preface this by saying a double-digit lead today in the modern NBA is not nearly the same thing as it used to be 10 years ago, right? When you fall behind by double digits 10 years ago, like you were really panicking. Now, a double-digit lead can disappear like that. Gone in an instant. So I acknowledge that. But still, the fact that the Kings are falling behind by double digits in 21 of the last 22 games, and to make it even more concerning, the Kings have fallen behind by 17 or more points in 14 of those 21 games. The Sacramento Kings have fallen behind by 25 or more points in 7 of those 21 games. The Sacramento Kings have fallen behind by 32 or more points in 5 of those 21 games. And 2 of those 21 games, the Kings trailed by more than 40. This Kings team is not just losing a lot, they're losing badly. They're falling behind often. And they have a few wins in there where they've fallen behind by double digits and fought all the way back. The one game out of the last 22 that they weren't behind by double digits is when they basically went wire to wire and defeated the Heat in Miami a handful of games ago. But other than that, like, this team is falling behind and having to scratch and claw and battle from behind on a nightly basis. And very clearly, this team, this roster, they are not capable of doing that consistently. A lot of times, I'm not saying this team folds after they fall behind by double digits. They have a time or two. They have blatantly quit on the floor. We've seen it. But what's even more frustrating with this team is when it takes them falling behind by double digits to wake up. And then they put together these big runs. They put together these big pushes. When they use their best stretch of basketball, it's just to give them a chance to get back into the game, let alone take or build a lead. A lot of frustrations for the Sacramento Kings this season, of course. And tonight's game was veteran heavy. We've talked a lot about here on Locked On Kings. What's the point of playing the veterans? You're just wasting time. Play the young guys more. Well, some of the young guys did get some playing time in this game. And none of the young guys looked good, with some exceptions. We'll talk about Keegan Murray, Maxime Reynaud, Nick Clifford, and of course, both Keon Ellis and Devin Carter getting DNPs in just a second. This episode of the Locked On Kings podcast is brought to you by Wayfair. The holidays always show up faster than we expect, and if you're still putting together gifts, last-minute decor, or getting your home ready for guests, Wayfair has got you covered. Whether you need a quick room refresh, new bedding, or those final seasonal touches, Wayfair makes it easy to get what you need fast. Wayfair truly is your one-stop shop for everything home, with decor, furniture, kitchen essentials, and gifts for every style and every budget, all delivered quickly and easily. Their selection is ginormous. Bedding, decor, kitchen gear, kids' room updates. I was able to find everything that I need in one place really, really quickly. It's so easy for you to shop by style, whether you have one style for your entire home or different styles for different rooms. It helps you pick pieces that actually fit in your home instead of just guessing what might or might not fit. And the Wayfair items that you order will instantly refresh your space without having any sort of big project with big costs. Get last-minute home essentials, gifts for all your loved ones, and decor to celebrate the holidays for way less. Head to wayfair.com right now to shop all things home. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. Locked On Kings is also brought to you by FanDuel. NFL Sundays move fast. One big play and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds, every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift. A receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after a turnover. FanDuel lets you jump into the moment with live spreads and money lines that adjust instantly. Player props update as guys heat up. You can bet next touchdown scores, drive results, totals, and more. It keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, every possibility. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. Unfortunately, tonight overall was a yikes, young guys kind of night. Let's talk about Keegan Murray first and foremost. 10 points, 3 of 11 shooting from the field, 8 rebounds, 6 blocks. Now we'll start with the positives with Keegan. The defensive impact, phenomenal, right? 6 blocks, that's a career high. He was extremely active defensively, hustling, rotating, getting his hands in shooters' faces, like doing a really, really good job cutting off drives to the rim. Like Keegan Murray defensively is still really, really good. And what I love about Keegan, it's easy to take for granted, but you truly cannot take it for granted when analyzing who Keegan Murray is as a player. The Kings can always rely on some sort of defensive impact from Keegan on a nightly basis. He is the guy that, without having to hesitate or think about it, Doug Christie can say, you're guarding the opposing team's best player. He's that reliable. He's that essential. Now, I know the Sacramento Kings as a team are a terrible defensive team. Imagine how much worse they would be without Keegan Murray. Like, we're talking historically bad defensively if Keegan Murray is not playing consistently for this team. But the offense is bad. The offense is bad. 10 points, 3 of 11 shooting from the field. I am officially concerned about Keegan's three-point shooting. Keegan went 1 of 3 from three-point range in this game. He's 7 of 33. He's made 7 of his last 33 three-point attempts over his last 7 games. Guys, that's 21%. And his overall three-point shooting percentage this season, granted he missed a large portion of it to start, it's not much better than 21%. Keegan's three-point shooting is MIA. And as we've seen over the last 3 years since his rookie season, that three-point percentage has been steadily, consistently deteriorating. Now, I understand completely and I acknowledge completely that Keegan Murray is playing hurt. He's playing banged up, right? He's been battling not just the hand injury that he had to have surgery on, the thumb injury he had to have surgery on that kept him out for the start of the season. He's dealing with some minor bumps and bruises and playing banged up through other issues as well. I acknowledge that, but I don't use it as an excuse. Now, I'm not going to judge Keegan's entire season based off of the first 10 or so, however many games that he has played so far this year after starting hurt. And to be honest with you, like when he returned, with the exception of that first game, which was when the Kings got absolutely obliterated in Memphis, when I went on vacation, Keegan played really well over those next 2 games that the Kings, of course, won, and then even was playing well in some of the losses after that. So Keegan started really strong, and in a sense kind of slowed down, and that three-point shot still is just nowhere to be seen. So I do have faith and hope and belief that over the remaining 60 games of this season, or however many are left, that Keegan can get back to shooting more consistently from three-point range, drag that three-point percentage at least into the mid-30s. Like just warm up, heat up, hopefully get healthy, get right, and look like yourself a little bit more. And again, show that you have the potential to be more of a featured scoring option. The Kings are definitely clearly trying to get him the basketball. He's clearly trying to attack, and he's recognizing, hey, my three-point shot isn't there right now, so I'm going to look for that mid-range jumper. I'm going to attack the rim. I'm going to try and be aggressive. Some of the buckets that he did score tonight, he had a big dunk to open up the second half. He went coast to coast off of a defensive rebound, splitting a few defenders in the first quarter. Like, Keegan had some good offensive moments in this game. But we're judging and analyzing Keegan through the lens of, can you be more than just a really solid fourth offensive option with massive defensive responsibility? You were the 4th overall pick. Like, the Kings need more than that. And you need to start showing it at some point in time. And he's just not showing it. He's not showing it. I'm concerned. I am officially concerned with Keegan Murray's shooting. That three-point shot does not look good. He's getting good looks, and he's just missing them. Like, it's not like he's airballing or just chucking bricks, but they're not dropping. And they haven't really been dropping consistently for years at this point. Maxime Reynaud, 8 points, 3 of 6 shooting from the field, 6 rebounds, 1 block. His trial by fire continues. He played 26 minutes, again going toe-for-toe with fellow Frenchman Rudy Gobert. For Maxime, like, perspective is important. For a rookie who is a second-round pick, who is getting opportunities to start, Max is doing a lot of things well. I've talked about and sang the praises of Maxime Reynaud and his improvement from where he was at the start of this season to even where he is now in mid-December. Like, he has drastically improved, and that's encouraging to see. So that perspective is important. But when I'm looking at this young core, I'm looking at the small, short list of players that are on this god-awful roster right now that you have hopes in being part of the rebuild, when the Kings 3 to 5 years down the road come out on the other side and hopefully enter into a land of plentiful success and deep playoff runs. Can any of these guys on this roster be a part of that? And I'm sorry, like, I see the upside with Max. I like what I'm seeing. I think he's ahead of schedule as a second-round pick, but I'm not going to force any sort of excitement or belief that, like, yes, Max can be that really, really important piece of this perennial playoff team on the other side of a rebuild. We're not even close to there yet. Not even close. He's doing the things he needs to do to start down that path. So I acknowledge that. But I see people on social media, and I know you guys are desperate for the few positives from this season. I get it completely. I sympathize with that. But I'm seeing like, oh, Maxime, here's the future right there. This is going to be Max's team. If that's the case, boy, we're in for a rough few years. Maybe even more rough than what we're dealing with right now. Neat Clifford, man, 0 points, 0 of 1 shooting from the field, 1 steal. No other stats to talk about except for a turnover. Played 13 minutes. Besides some good defensive moments and like individual defensive moments that don't show up in the box score. I know he had a steal, but like I'm talking about like using his feet effectively defensively, staying down, not getting called for too many fouls, like defending with his body. He does some good defensive things, like just good natural defensive instincts for a rookie. That's good. But besides that, I honestly, like the stats show it, the eye test shows it. I can't tell you what Neat Clifford does. I know he's capable of doing a lot of things well. But right now, I don't see how he's impacting the game in any kind of positive way for Sacramento. And I don't know, and this is to be fair to Neek, with where this franchise is at, how disjointed and disconnected this roster is. I don't know if Neek, as the 24th overall pick, knows how he's supposed to be consistently positively impacting this team. So I don't blame him necessarily, but Neat Clifford over these last couple of games has been really, really bad. Really bad, just not doing anything. A non-factor, not impactful. And that's disappointing. He played 13 minutes tonight, and arguably that's more than he deserved to play because of how much he struggled. This is one of those performances where it's like, yes, I want to see the rookies work through this, but if you're going to go out there and quite literally give me nothing, then I can't complain that Dennis Schroeder or DeMar DeRozan or these veterans are getting the bulk of the minutes. Neek isn't showing me anything right now. I still believe in the kid, and he's still got plenty of time this season to showcase things. And he had a good game, a week ago? So I'm not freaking out about it. But I'm analyzing each game for what they are, and these last 2 games, Neat Clifford has just done nothing. And I hope he starts to show us more pretty soon. Then, like I said, Keon Ellis, DNP, Devin Carter, DNP. The Devin Carter DNP isn't necessarily surprising, but Devin got an opportunity. Granted, it wasn't the blowout at the end of that Nuggets game, and Devin Carter played well. I know Dennis Schroeder came back, but Devin's sitting there going, man, I got my playing time. I played well in that playing time, but I guess it just doesn't matter. I'm just doomed to never play on this team. He might be right. And then Keon Ellis might be looking around going, great, Dennis Schroeder's back. Now my playing time is gone. Even when Zach LaVine went down with an injury and was out the entire second half, Keon Ellis couldn't get out on the floor. I'll believe it when I see it, with the Kings signing Keon Ellis to a contract extension once he's eligible in February. This episode of the Locked On Kings podcast is also brought to you by RobinhoodYou. Let's be real, making excuses doesn't solve anything. We've all heard them before. It's just stress. I'm tired, or it happens to everybody sometimes. But when it comes to performance, sometimes your body just needs a little extra support, and that's where RobinhoodYou comes in. RobinhoodYou.com offers fast-acting, doctor-prescribed treatments for ED designed to help you stop making excuses and start making moves. RobinhoodYou makes it easy to get started. You just connect with a board-certified doctor 100% online. No awkward waiting rooms and no in-person appointments. If prescribed, your treatment ships discreetly right to your door. The process is fast, simple, and private, and it's all handled by real doctors. It's about confidence, connection, and getting back to the moments that matter. Visit RobinhoodYou, spelled RUGIET.com/LockedOnNBA to get 15% off your first order. That's RUGIET.com/LockedOnNBA. And don't forget to use our code LockedOnNBA so they know that we sent you. RobinhoodYou, stop making excuses and start making moves. All right, I'm going to put out a little disclaimer before this rant, crash out session, whatever this segment's about to be to wrap up the show. Because I understand for a lot of my audience over the last really calendar year, because we're approaching just after Christmas time, a year to the date since Mike Brown was fired as the Sacramento Kings head coach. Not long after that, the De'Aaron Fox saga played out the way that it did. De'Aaron Fox was traded to the San Antonio Spurs. I'm going to talk directly about those two guys here in this segment. And I understand that I have exhausted that topic for a lot of you. So if you need to click off this podcast now, you don't want to hear it, don't want to listen to it, you're tired of hearing it, Matt, move on, blah, blah, blah. If that's you, even if I disagree with you, because I don't think we should just move on and forget about it, it's important to remember these and to use them to remind the organization of how they can't get out of their own freaking way and they need to wake the heck up. If you don't want to hear it right now, you don't want to be depressed, you don't want to be frustrated, I don't blame you one bit. I'm putting this disclaimer out there just so you understand. But for those of you who do stick around, and for those of you who like it when I get a little bit fired up, well, we'll see where this goes. On Tuesday in Las Vegas, the NBA Cup final will be played between De'Aaron Fox's San Antonio Spurs. I know Victor Wembanyama is the star on that team, but De'Aaron Fox plays for the Spurs, versus Mike Brown's New York Knicks. It is a national showcase of the incompetence of the Sacramento Kings organization. Now, let's all hope as a fan base that the national NBA audience cares so little about the Kings or pays so little attention to the Kings that it doesn't even dawn on them that the coach the Kings fired less than a year ago is coaching against the star that the Sacramento Kings chose to move for Zach LaVine and allowed to take the blame for the firing of the head coach that De'Aaron Fox supported. Let's hope that they don't catch on to that narrative. Let's hope they don't catch on to that reality. But those who know are watching this game and just shaking their head or laughing or cracking jokes, continuing to just mock the ineptitude of this Sacramento Kings organization. All of it, all of the embarrassment, all of the failure, completely and utterly self-inflicted by this organization and its ownership that can't get out of their own ways and can't stop tripping over their own feet. Hopefully it's a really entertaining basketball game, just like the semifinals round was extremely entertaining. That Spurs versus Thunder game was awesome. The Knicks versus Magic game before that, really, really good. So hopefully we're just treated as some good basketball that makes it easier to forget that it's Fox versus Mike Brown. But to me, I can't look past that. I won't be able to unsee it. And look, I've been seeing, when I put it out there, I've been seeing all the messages on social media. I've been seeing all the responses, the amount of copium that is going through this fan base right now. And I don't even blame you for it. I really don't. But the amount of copium is insane with the things that are being said about Fox, about Brown, about the NBA Cup. Like, I know y'all are trying so hard to mask the pain as much as possible, but you can't do it. You can't mask the pain. The Sacramento Kings fan base, we have seen one playoff series in almost 20 years. One playoff series. So who the heck are any of us to say that the NBA Cup doesn't matter? The NBA Cup is a joke. Who cares about the NBA Cup? Mike Brown making it to the NBA Cup final, De'Aaron Fox making it to the NBA Cup final. Who cares? We are in no position to downsize or diminish or talk down to any sort of success in the NBA, period. Whether it is the NBA Cup that might seem like a carnival to some people, might seem meaningless compared to, of course, the NBA playoffs and the ultimate prize of winning a Larry O'Brien trophy. Sure, those two aren't comparable. But ladies and gentlemen, in the very first opportunity to compete and win any sort of hardware in the season after Mike Brown was hired as the Knicks head coach and the first full season of De'Aaron Fox with Victor Wembanyama and the Spurs after Fox got the surgery that he needed on his pinky. The very first opportunity to win anything and in the finals are Fox and Brown and Harrison Barnes too. That's not lost on me. That shouldn't be lost on you either. You might not care about the NBA Cup. You might not think the NBA Cup means anything, but it sure looked like the Oklahoma City Thunder cared a lot about making it to that Cup final and certainly didn't want to lose that game to the San Antonio Spurs, which is just their second loss of the season. The Orlando Magic sure as heck wanted to win that game and make it to the NBA Cup final in Las Vegas. And at the same time, look in the mirror, Kings fans, myself included. When the Kings competed for a Summer League title this summer, we were excited about just playing for some sort of hardware. The Kings are 2-time Summer League champions, and we've celebrated those to try and enjoy as like whatever kind of success that we can. When Buddy Hield won the 3-point contest, we were excited. Right? These meaningless things, if the Kings are in them, we're all about them. But now that the Kings aren't in it, but Mike Brown and De'Aaron Fox are, they don't matter. They don't matter. Who cares? Please. It does matter. And if that don't matter to you, here's what should matter to you. 18-7. The San Antonio Spurs have an 18-7 record. The New York Knicks have an 18-7 record. My friends, the Kings are 6-20. So call the games meaningless if you want. Call the NBA Cup meaningless if you want. Both of those teams are 18-7. And the Sacramento Kings have won 6 out of 26 games this season. They're at least playing winning, important basketball. And if, we really need to stop doing, we really need to stop trying so hard to discredit both Fox and Brown to make ourselves feel better or try and justify even a little bit the blatant ignorance of this organization for choosing this team and this path over both of those guys. Because it was the absolute wrong decision. It's been the wrong decision from the jump. I've been telling you from the jump that the Kings were back in basketball hell as soon as they fired Mike Brown. And they allowed that De'Aaron Fox saga to play out the way it did. Fox and Mike Brown are not riding their team's coattails. De'Aaron Fox and Victor Wembanyama both had the same amount of points in that semifinal against OKC, 22 points. Victor Wembanyama, that was his first game back in weeks. And over those weeks, De'Aaron Fox was the leader of the Spurs, and they went 9-3 over those 12 games. He's not riding coattails. He's a leader. He's a star on that team. Mike Brown is not riding the coattails because he just happened to wake up and suddenly he had the job of the New York Knicks that made the Eastern Conference Finals. No, the New York Knicks hired him. The New York Knicks said, Tom Thibodeau couldn't get the job done. Mike, we think you can. And here Mike is in the first any sort of meaningful basketball. Mike Brown has this team in the final of the NBA Cup. Again, the NBA Cup is nothing compared to the playoffs and winning a championship. That's ultimately what Mike Brown's going to be judged on. But his first opportunity to showcase what this team can do in any sort of tournament format, they're one win away from winning it all. And I'd argue they're the favorite over the San Antonio Spurs to win it all. Although, who knows? That could be a total coin flip. I'm excited for this game. But do not disrespect anybody, but certainly De'Aaron Fox and Mike Brown with this idea that they're being dragged into this position. De'Aaron Fox has played amazing basketball. Harrison Barnes is playing amazing basketball. Mike Brown has found a different way to utilize Jalen Brunson off the ball. He's revitalized and changed some of the offensive struggles that the Knicks had under Tom Thibodeau, and he has Jalen Brunson into that NBA MVP conversation where he belongs. And we can't blame everything that went wrong for the Kings on Mike Brown as the coach and let him get fired and take the blame because of it. But now all the success that he's having with the New York Knicks, oh, that had nothing to do with Mike. That has nothing to do with Mike. It don't work that way. Stay consistent. Does Mike have nothing to do with all of it? Or does he have everything to do with all of it? The correct answer is it's in the middle. Mike deserves credit for the New York Knicks' success, just like the New York Knicks are and were a great basketball team before Mike took over there. No matter what, you don't have to argue so hard to try and make yourselves feel better. It's okay to acknowledge that this NBA Cup final is a slap in the face. It should sting. It should make you sick. I heard the sell the team chants from a handful of fans inside of the Golden One Center. I've read the comments on every single podcast, every single tweet that I've put out. Vivek Ranadive needs to sell the team. Ownership this, ownership that. That frustration is justified. Do not give this organization the pass for the horrible franchise-altering decisions that they made to fire the only successful head coach that they've had here since Rick Adelman, and the only homegrown, home-developed star that was able to lead them to the playoffs in De'Aaron Fox. Do not give them that out. And certainly, I'm so tired of reading this nonsense, these narratives of Fox the snake and Fox tanked his value on purpose. Fox handicapped the organization so that he could get himself to San Antonio. What De'Aaron Fox did, and I've explained this before, but I'll explain it again for those of you who weren't listening or didn't or just don't know. I'll explain it to you. De'Aaron Fox told the Sacramento Kings the offseason before all this went down, before the Kings signed Mike Brown to an extension. De'Aaron Fox told Monty McNair, De'Aaron Fox told Vivek Ranadive, I will not play for another head coach. I've played for too many of them. I'm not going through it again. Mike's my guy. I like how Mike coaches this team. Sign him to an extension. The Kings, they took their sweet time, but they eventually did the right thing, and they signed Mike Brown to the extension. When the Sacramento Kings fired Mike Brown, they knew exactly what would happen. They knew by firing Mike Brown that they were essentially saying, we hear what you said, De'Aaron. We don't care. We're doing this because we're at the time, 5 games under 500? Let alone where the Kings are at right now. They were not playing well. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. But they were not nearly as bad then as they were right now. And that bad start to that season does not erase all of the good that those two did together over their short time over the last handful of years here in Sacramento. But not only that, not only did they fire Mike Brown when they knew that De'Aaron Fox had told them he's not playing for another coach, they did so after De'Aaron Fox's mistake against the Detroit Pistons, the 4-point play to Jaden Ivey that ended up losing the Kings that game. That was their 5th straight loss, I believe, or something like that. On top of that, afterwards, Mike Brown has his very fiery post-game comments calling out De'Aaron Fox, being very vocal about the mistakes that De'Aaron Fox made. De'Aaron Fox having the bad comments that he had after that game. I acknowledge that. De'Aaron Fox said the absolute wrong things after making that mistake and after that loss. It was not a good time for the Kings organization. That's for sure. But the Kings fire Mike. By the way, they did it over the phone right before he was boarding a plane to go to Los Angeles, after he ran a full practice and spoke with the media. The Kings fire Mike, and then the general manager doesn't come out and do a press conference about it for months. Maybe because it was never his call to begin with and he didn't want to take the blame for it. But who does have to talk about it? De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron Fox steps in front of the camera multiple times. The organization hung the dude out to dry. I'm sorry, hung the dude out to dry. Completely hung him out to dry. From that point, De'Aaron Fox said, F this place. And if that's the problem you have, well, De'Aaron said F this place, so F him. Okay, you can feel that way. But this place caused that. This organization caused that. This environment caused that. And he's gone, and he's thriving, and the Kings owner got his boy, and the Kings are terrible. But hey, if you want to make Fox the bad guy, if you want to make Mike Brown the bad guy, Be my guest. Those bad guys are succeeding, and we get to watch them in this NBA Cup final on Tuesday. There. I'm done. I haven't talked about it for a while. I know it's exhausting for a lot of people, or maybe you enjoyed it. I don't want to be this bitter about it. I genuinely don't. I don't want to be this bitter at all, but I am in the same shoes that you've been in. Decades of losing, decades of ineptitude, decades of the same mistakes after the same mistakes after the same mistakes. And to have to watch Tyrese Halliburton in the NBA Finals, followed by months later, Mike Brown and De'Aaron Fox both thriving in their new teams and in their new situations, playing each other for the NBA Cup final. It sucks. It sucks. You can feel about it how you feel about it. Maybe you're numb to it because you've been through everything we've been through as a Kings fan. If that's you, good for you. And maybe you don't care. Maybe you're like, whatever. I'm not investing myself emotionally enough into this to get upset one way or another. Good for you. I'm not like, if that's you, fantastic. That's awesome. This organization will never, ever change until they can acknowledge these horrendous mistakes that are completely self-inflicted. And that's why I continue to talk about them. And that's why it's important for us to watch Tuesday and to feel the sting of those players' success. Appreciate your support on this podcast. Even if you're hate listening right now and heading to the comment section to yell at me and tell me to shut up, I don't blame you, to be honest with you. I'd be exhausted by me too. And sometimes I am exhausted by me. Believe me. I appreciate you. I would love to hear your thoughts on tonight's game, your thoughts on the young guys, your thoughts on everything that I just said. Hey, let's talk about it. At MattGeorgeSack on Twitter. Email me, mattgeorgesports@gmail.com, or leave your thoughts in the YouTube comment section down below. Looking forward to having you join me on the next episode of the Locked On Kings podcast. Until then, my name is Matt George. You've been listening to Locked On Kings, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.